Welcome everyone to the panel Inclusive and Participatory Approaches to Evaluation in the Context of War in Ukraine, Challenges and Dilemmas. And I believe that today we will be talking not only about challenges and dilemmas, but also about possible solutions. And we have a great panelist today with us, and I'm sure they do have a lot of insights and solutions they would like to share with you. So my name is Olga Krasovska, and I am former head of Ukrainian Evaluation Association. I'm now as a board member. I used to work as an independent consultant, but now I'm currently working in the UK in the local government continue evaluation. So I will be your facilitator today. As I said, we have a brilliant panelist today. So we have like perfectly balanced panel in terms of countries and in terms of gender balance, because we have two representatives from Poland and we have two representatives from Ukraine, and like as I said, very balanced in terms of gender. So I don't want to keep us any longer, and I'm happy to give the floor for the first panelist, and it will be Dmytro Kondratenko, who is also the member of Ukrainian Evaluation Society. Dmytro led association from 2018 to 2020. Dmytro has more than 10 years of experience in monitoring and evaluation of humanitarian educational and development programs. He has a very good experience in terms of humanitarian and independent humanitarian evaluation, both with OCC, UN OCHA, and also he's a trainer in humanitarian evaluation. So he's one of the authors, together with myself and Lubov Margolina, for M&E training course for civil society organizations. So he really does a lot of experience, and he will be talking about his inclusive and participatory approaches to rapid evaluations from his personal experience. And Dmytro, the floor is yours, and I will do my best to share the screen for
Well,
you.
I will share the screen, so
Okay.
don't worry, it will
It's
be on
even
me.
better. It will give me opportunity
Yes.
to go through the chat if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Okay, the
So
floor is yours.
again, good day, dear colleagues. It's very nice to see you all. I was inspired today by the opening lecture. It was brilliant presentation on the general panel. I hope you as well. Also, I would like to thank Olga for organizing this panel and doing all the necessary administrative work and inspiring the participants. And of course, it's good to see you all here. So, as presented, I'm Ukrainian evaluator. Also, now I shifted a bit from humanitarian evaluations to developmental monitoring. So now I'm working with UNDP Ukraine. And however, this presentation I'm going to share with you is, of course, about the different approaches and the difficulties of evaluations during the wartime. So let me share the screen. Yes, I think it works. So the question was, when there is a fast-moving and difficult context of the war, of humanitarian crisis, how do we manage to keep evaluations both rapid and participatory? So let's go to our content. So rapid evaluations, and why rapid evaluations, why participatory? So rapid during when the situation changes rapidly, of course, we need some recommendations, but which can be applied like in a month or two. Therefore, no time to wait, no time for long exercises within the evaluation. At the same time, we need, and especially in the times of humanitarian crisis, we need to involve more and more people, communities, and stakeholders into better explaining the situation and sharing the information with us. Therefore, during the wartime, everything shifts daily from communities move, infrastructure collapses, and respondents are stretched. So traditional evaluations are slow and time extractive. And our challenge is how we make the evaluation useful in real time and owned by people on the ground. So first of all, the key is make evaluation a learning process, not a reporting product. Reporting product are also important, but in this situation, of course, evaluation has to be an opportunity to learn going on. So real-time learning and real-time evaluations, they are an opportunity to give short feedback loop to guide to immediate decisions. Therefore, it may turn implicit experience into explicit organizational learning. During wartime and other crisis time, timing is more crucial. So we can't wait 6 months for a report, and it may, be a really too long, and it will cost the relevance. The cost will be relevance if we wait for so long. And so the trade-off is less procedural rigor to moving to more relevance, trust, and adaptation. Going on is the key principles of real-time evaluations and learning exercises. So it must be implemented during, and the learning should commence during the implementation, not after the implementation. There should be short feedback loops, days, sometimes week, but not month. So it's expected that the shorter feedback will be received from the stakeholders and the commissioning organization. And of course, focusing on the process, not the perfection, not the perfect visualization. Also, we should remember about the collective learning for staff and partners to reflect together, and also the ethics. We should put the ethics first. There is a duty of care and well-being for the involved, especially for affected people and communities. There is how can we make the speed and the evaluation more participatory? So the rapid evaluation, rapid learning does not mean top down. It means smarter inclusion. And we should start with an inception check-in, codifying questions and expectations. Then there should be, during the implementation, we should have a constant dialogue with users, avoiding fly-in, fly-out data collection. Then usage of storytelling methods, very useful here. This may be informal key informant interviews, after-action review, reflection calls, 1-hour reflection calls also. We may go and try to produce visual and short outputs by learning briefs, journey maps, self-assessment rubrics. So if we ask 45 minutes of staff time, therefore we must give something back. So it's important to always be ready to produce the necessary information and inspiration to learn from this real-time evaluation. As for the surveys, so for example, currently I'm having 2 ongoing surveys, and anytime usually there is a survey I'm doing, or I am preparing to launch. I should say that usually it can give us only limited stakeholder participation and fast analysis. But the faster is the survey, the less is stakeholder participation. So sometimes the qualitative tools may be even better and faster to use in comparison with the usual survey, which may take time to remind the stakeholders who already may have the survey fatigue to respond to our questions and requests for information. Then the next important tool and important source of information may be accountability to affected population data. So it means using the power and responsibly and based on community feedback. So there is usually some feedback received from the accountability channels. Actually, we may integrate accountability map reports, focal points, and triangulate findings by using the data received through the accountability channels. We may as well, in the real-time learning, AAP may give us real-time perception and evidence, so no need to run for the new surveys, as I already said, which may be time-consuming, and integration of AAP at every step. So mapping existing AAP reports in the desk review, including AAP focal points in the reflection sessions, triangulating staff stories with community feedback. And also, we shouldn't overanalyze raw complaints, but focus on synthesized learning. For example, in Ukraine, cash and voucher assistance, real-time learning evaluation, the feedback showed weak links between the programming and AAP data, and the prompted course correction was advised. On the next slide, some reflection on the methods that work in war contexts. So this may be piggybacking on existing data collection. For example, feedback and community response statistics, various community meetings, even meetings with the authorities, local authorities. This is usually a channel which can be used for at least additional data collection. Then online group learning, so there may be 2-hour conversations or days of reflection, useful for both evaluator and the staff of the evaluated organization. Also quick post or micro exercises. So what went well, what were the challenges, what may be the learning for the next cycle. Combining staff and community perspectives in one frame may also be important. Then, of course, skipping deliverable slides, so learning briefs, but not 80-page reports. As for the ethics and well-being of the evaluations, so we should, of course, protect staff and respondents from secondary trauma. This is very important. So the need for there may be need for consultations with specialists, psychologists before starting the data collection. Then use of experienced interviewers, so which do not only ask questions but can lead to what information will be really interesting to hear from the respondent, and also sequence sensitive questions carefully. There is a need to provide a signposting to psychological institutional support. And of course, you should remember about the evaluator's own well-being, especially when visiting targeted locations, locations hard to reach, and so on. So the practice examples for maybe, for example, the World Vision 42-country real-time learning with response roadmaps and action plans. Of course, when there are 42 countries, it's very hard to conduct an ordinary evaluation which will take all the necessary information from the 42 countries, from several regions. However, the real-time learning may be more effective here. Real-time reviews of Oxfam and the evaluation in 2023 I've participated in, the real-time learning commissioned by the humanitarian coordinator in Ukraine on cash and voucher assistance coordination system. So the feedback was largely used to adjust a criteria during the operation. The feedback both received during the interviews data collection, but also from the accountability AAP channels from the beneficiaries. The learning mindset. So what should be the mindset for real-time learning evaluations? Evaluation should be a reflection of process under fire, not a report. So a participatory evaluation in war is not about a perfect report. It is about collective reflection. And the takeaways is to start small and start now, make everyone a co-learner, deliver bite-sized insights, so small insights, staying ethical and caring, and turn the real-time learning into culture, not only the event. And the final thoughts about it is that the planning process here is more important than the plan itself, as it was, this is a statement by ILNAP, organization which you may be aware of, and real-time learning is not faster evaluation, it is probably better listening and understanding evaluation. So thank you for attention, and I will be glad to answer questions if any.
Yes, thank you so much, Dmitro. Thank you for your experience and your insights. I do not see any immediate questions in the chat, so I will allow myself then to ask you a question, and maybe when you are answering it, we can have more questions. So we understand that the situation when we are having the war, like full-time war, the situation changing, not even every day, but every like minute. So if I ask you, what will be the most important thing to keep balance between evaluation being both rapid and truly participatory? Because you discussed a lot of different elements, you provided us with a lot of insights, but like the main things that come to your mind when you hear this question, because we usually can't have everything at once, but there should be and necessarily the most important, like I don't know, insight or whatsoever.
Yeah, as for me, the most important thing is to make stakeholders be interested in becoming the owner of the results of evaluation, and it can be reached usually through an approach of at least two steps. One is launching and the launching meeting, so that the questions if from in the evaluation questions should be discussed more thoroughly, and the stakeholders may think over what they really want to hear from the evaluation, And the second stage, of course, is trying to give certain answers and at the same time making and supporting the learning of the stakeholders and maybe other involved into what are the evaluation findings and probably recommendations. Again, don't overburden stakeholders with the evaluation recommendations. Sometimes they will be more interested in findings than recommendations and in what they hear. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. It was really, really insightful. Colleague, I really encourage you to put your questions in the chat. It will be easier for us to manage and we can discuss more. Thank you once again, Dmitro. And we are moving to the next panelist. I'm happy to introduce Magdalena Fackiur-Ladze. Magdalena is a meal expert in Caritas Polska, and she will be sharing with us experience from evaluation in the context of Caritas Polska experience with implementing assistance projects in Poland and Ukraine. So it's interesting combination because Caritas is both implementer and grant donor. And it's not very usual case. So it will be interesting to hear, Magdalena, your experience. Magdalena personally has over the 20 years of professional experience. So she was involved in the non-government sector in Poland and abroad, holding research, advocacy, and managerial roles at different organizations. And she's personally involved in humanitarian different projects and efforts in the outbreak of the full-scale war in Ukraine. She has worked as evaluator and project coordinator and since 2 years affiliated with Caritas Poland as a meal expert. So Magdalena, the floor is yours. Just let me know if you need my support in demonstrating your slides.
Yes, I think I will be happy if you present my slides.
Okay, sure.
So we can easily, I think, start from the first one.
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
just
not the title, but the second actually. So I will not provide you with too many details of how we operate in the terms of evaluation itself and the research, but as in the panel you mentioned, it's good to understand the power structure in the evaluation process, and also in the terms of beneficiaries' involvement in the process of evaluation. But first of all,
sorry, colleagues, I'm so stupid with technique. So can you see presentation?
It's fine. Perfect.
Good. Just let me know when you want me to change slides. Good.
Okay. So to address this question, which I believe to some extent will be complementary to the first presentation, as I'm not going to talk about the details of our rapid evaluation and rapid response at the very beginning of war. I will start from the context of our perspective as network organization, Caritas around the globe, let's say. As the structure is like we have Caritas Internationalis, umbrella organization in Vatican. We have also European Caritas Europe in Brussels. But also we have in each country national Caritas, and then diocesan Caritas in each diocese. So it's the network enables us to respond to the crises, war situations, or some other problems around the globe, and also to join the efforts of many countries to participate in reacting to some crises around the globe. But what is important, in the heart, let's say, of our thinking is subsidiary charity and dignity as the foundation of our mission. So basically what we are trying to do at any stage, any level, is to don't go into directly to the country of crisis, as we are not traveling to, I don't know, Nepal after crisis in Nepal, but we are mostly providing support in the terms of funds, grants, or some goods or services to the Caritas Nepal, for example, or in this case, Caritas Europe, Caritas Ukraine, as we believe that they are able to assess the context and their needs better. But to do it right and to do it efficient, and basically we as a network, we have some possible modalities, let's say, internationally to address those problems, like rapid response or emergency appeal. And emergency appeal is the next step of operation in when we already have some understanding of the crisis and needs. Organization from the country experiencing crisis appeals to other Caritases around the globe, providing needs assessment, providing some framework of their activities they are going to perform. So I believe this subsidiary attitude helps us to be closer to the beneficiaries, closer to the local needs, and don't force any good solution from our point of view as a grant donor to the local context. Also, each and every Caritas refer to the similar standards, which is Caritas International Management Standards, including meal standards and compliance, feedback mechanism, and so on, which also provides us with being sure that we expect some quality of interventions and quality of evaluation processes around the globe. Also, we as a grant donor and also grant receiver of funds, we got quite substantial support from international community of Caritas, mostly from American Caritas, which provide us at the very beginning of the war with grant for
Are you muted?
Shouldn't sorry, I was just thinking, is it me or is it Magdalena? We can't hear
Excuse me?
you. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, excuse me so much. So basically, also we've received some capacity building support from American Caritas, which also helped us to settle the standards for monitoring and evaluation. And it was not forcing us also to have some solutions, but working together to find the best suiting methodologies or tools or approach to what we are going to do, also in the terms of evaluation. Okay, let's maybe go to another slide.
I will find the way, just a second. Please continue.
Okay, so basically I'm not going to tell about evaluation in each and every project, as we have plenty of different types of intervention. But what I will tell is that okay, let's so the very beginning, it was mostly we in Poland, we've been mostly focused on the material assistance and basic good support. And we've been monitoring all our activities from the very beginning, also providing quite dense feedback loops in Poland within our diocesan Caritas, which also provides some goods and services. The good thing about the very beginning of the crisis was that we had some experience in general in charity work and supporting the most vulnerable groups like eateries, like providing shelters, providing some food programs or some scholarship for children and so on. So in a way, we had the structure. We had the magazines, we have the local volunteering groups in parishes, which were able to gathering goods to provide directly to the migrants. And obviously, it's in a way more comfortable to research the needs if you are able to meet those needs quite soon, even not having external big grant donors yet. Then after this primal evaluation activities and gathering data on the needs, we in Poland bring to the table this emergency appeal framework to international community, and after this we were able to provide some relevant data and relevant understanding of the situation, shaping the structure of actual project, which was for a bit longer time than just basic very fast response. Okay, so let's maybe go to the next slide. Okay, so I start to talk already about this rapid response analysis. So basically the feedback loop was dense. Caritas Poland with our dioceses, they were meeting like each week, talking about the services needs and so on. We had monitoring visits. We talked to the beneficiaries directly, but also very soon we developed a needs assessment. So when we start to work in 28 centers for migrants and refugees, which was a bit more structured, we've already provided the tool for people registering our beneficiaries for quite detailed needs assessment in many areas. So also we were able to have real-time data gathered from each centers. We also collected those data from the from our mobile centers or mobile workers visiting, for example, public shelters where the most vulnerable groups have their place to live at the very beginning. What is more, from the very beginning also we hired relevant staff, also with Ukrainian background, and they were able to provide us with additional assistance in the terms of contact with beneficiaries. And actually what is, I believe, important and maybe in a way quite unusual comparing to what other organizations sometimes refer to, was that we believe we didn't have problems to assess the needs of people, as they even in qualitative settings like focus group interviews or some individual interviews, they were rather openly sharing their concerns and their needs, as basically similarly as this needs assessment form, it enables them to meet those needs. So basically, what I believe was the problem for centers themselves is that if you are committed to meet those needs, sometimes you are afraid that asking for needs, if you are not able to meet the needs directly, it creates some tension in the context of employees directly working with beneficiaries. Okay. Our lesson from also to use the beneficiary's perspective, it's also important to have very good quality of external evaluation, as obviously we have we did our own research, we have our own needs assessment, satisfaction survey and so on, but also we were obliged to have external evaluation. And the most important, I think, from our point of view, is to have good quality staff on board in our organization to provide to don't use the salary for the evaluation as the main I mean, it cannot be the most important factor choosing the right evaluator. So we put an emphasis to have good external evaluator experience in the field of humanitarian settings and also in the context of Ukrainian response with some reference and so on. And as we have very experienced person from recently working in a commercial company as a qualitative researcher, it was very helpful as she was able to talk about the methodology of the external evaluation. Also, she was supporting choosing the best company to perform the evaluation for us. As a grant donor, obviously we work based on meal plans with our partners in Ukraine, but also we have some monitoring visits. We are meeting them. We are seeing the local context and ensuring that the perspective of beneficiaries are in the center of our intervention. So starting from the like basic tools and standards of humanitarian response, like post-distribution monitoring, and ending with more participatory approach and field visits. And also, I think when we have this concern around to what extent the evaluation petrified the already the existing power structures versus involve the context of the most vulnerable groups, I believe working with partners, local partners, with local experience and rootedness in the local community, it's an advantage, not disadvantage, as I believe international organization, like this parachuting organization coming when the crisis occurs, don't have so much commitment to the local context. They are not so involved in the local communities. And this embodiment of local parishes, diocesan caritases, gives I believe better understanding of local context, and they are more prone for accountability measures in general, because they want to have good, be good, well recognized by the community, as they are going to exist there in the future, so not only for the crisis. So what else? I think maybe the most the hardest part of our evaluation efforts was to work with the most vulnerable groups, as in foster care, for example, in Poland. Because when you are trying to research a very closed community, a very vulnerable one, which is also with lack of so many like support, the staff is about to be burned out, as the staff is not sufficient for the needs of children, the community is closed, and so on and so on. You need to be very sensitive with researching basically children in many needs, with this also power play of them not having their own parents guarding them. So basically, I believe having psychologists, Ukrainian psychologists on board to be able to provide some workshops, group discussions, but also observation, is able to do not harm the beneficiaries, but also to gain some research and understanding from the very vulnerable group point of view. So I think it's the most important. What I will also stress is that we have very good staff on board, qualitative and quantitative researcher in Caritas Poland, involved in all research and methodology around this intervention. And I believe it's crucial, as it provides quality of the research findings. They are able to provide some trainings also for local staff in those 28 centers, and to create framework for ongoing monitoring and evaluation activities around the project, and also learning from experience. So within the centers, we have subsequent meetings of let's say meal specialists, but also case managers, psychologists, and so on and so on, and the centers in general. Also, we've exchanged our lessons learned internationally within Caritas Europe, and it gives voice of the most vulnerable, which we are researching, to the general population, and also to the policy settings in the terms of advocacy activities, which I believe organizations are in charge to
It looks like Magdalena lost connection, or it's me who lost connection.
No, we can hear you.
Hear you.
Okay, so it's probably
But not
Magdalena.
First.
Okay, but I believe we were like approaching to the end of her presentation in any case. I hope Magdalena will come back to us later in order to answer any possible questions that come from the audience. It's actually interesting. One of the insights that got for me personally when she mentioned it's good to have psychologists on board, but I would say it's not only for humanitarian evaluation, it's absolutely true for development evaluation as well, because working in Ukraine, in any case, you will be dealing with highly traumatized beneficiaries and stakeholders and so on. So having psychologists on board with evaluators is pretty important, I believe. Yes, but it's not the main topic of our discussion, but just the insight I've got from Magdalena's presentation. Okay, so we are moving forward, and I'm happy to give the floor for presentation to Luba Margolina. And you probably remember that from the very beginning, Dmitro said that he was in humanitarian evaluations and he moved to the development sector. And Luba is an opposite case because she started from development area, development field, and then she moved to like not fully, but to humanitarian evaluation. And she will be talking about very practical example of OCSC demining project. And it's very interesting because the one could hardly imagine any like participatory approach in terms of demining and evaluation of such a specific field. That is why I believe like Luba has just a brilliant presentation and brilliant insights to share with us. Luba personally is also, as she put in the chat, is a member of Ukrainian Evaluation Association. She has over 25 years of experience in development technical assistance sectors. It's both project management, fundraising, evaluation. At the moment, she works in independent evaluator in Ukraine, but also in other countries. She has a degree in public administration from Canada, and also it's interesting, but she has a diploma of physics from the Kyiv Shevchenko University. So coming from this very diverse background, I'm happy to give the floor to you, Luba, and really interesting in your presentation.
Thank you, Olga. I'm really happy to be here today, and I really hope that I'll persuade you that evaluating mine action is actually more about participation than it may seem on the surface. So I'm happy to do this, my bit maybe emotional, spontaneous, and unvarnished presentation rooted in my observations and the field realities in Ukraine. So, a little bit of context. Ukraine is facing the largest landmine and explosive ordnance problem of the 21st century. UN agencies describe us as one of the most mine-contaminated places in the world, with contamination that is still active. It means that it expands, it shifts as the shelling and troop movements continue. Currently, UN communications put the potentially affected area in almost 140,000 kilometers range. And it's about a fifth of our country. And to give you some understanding of the size of it, this is slightly bigger than area of such countries as Greece, for instance, or Bangladesh. So this is our reality. This is where we live and where we work. And of course, demining is really important in Ukraine now. What is humanitarian mine action? The Geneva International Center for Humanitarian Demining defines it as a broad set of efforts intended both to prevent and to address the problems caused by mines, cluster munitions, and other explosive remnants of war. In UN usage, demining consists of 5 complementary pillars. First of all, it is risk education. It is education about risks of unexploded ordnance, or it's about explosive remnants of war. It equips people with knowledge and behavior to avoid harm. Often it is the fastest way to reduce casualties while demining activities scale up. It is about helping people recognize danger and change behavior when the environment itself has become treacherous. second pillar is demining. It is about applying all reasonable effort to identify hazardous areas and then release land either by confirming that it's secure or by clearing confirmed contamination. This is about survey, mapping, marking, and clearance. What many think is the real work, so to say, but which cannot be planned sensibly without community inputs on how land is actually used. Then, of course, it is victim assistance, because surviving an explosion is the beginning of a lifetime of adaptation. It's not the end of the story. So that's about support to survivors and indirect victims through medical care, rehabilitation, psychological support, and socioeconomic inclusion. And of course, this is about stockpile destruction, which may be not that relevant now in Ukraine. But that's about eliminating held munitions to prevent future contamination and accidental explosions. And of course, advocacy, advancing norms and legal commitments, reinforcing 4 other pillars. So this report or presentation is based on my observations, my experience related to the first 2 pillars about risk education and demining. Never actually. When I entered this field, I was doing some really interesting evaluation of some sophisticated projects in the area of digitalization, security, civil society. I could never imagine that actually at some point I'll find myself somewhere in the minefield doing this evaluation. Yes. Okay. So what do I mean by participatory evaluation? At minimum, it is an approach where stakeholders, including beneficiaries but not only, help shape what and how we evaluate and how we use our findings. Participatory evaluation emerged as a reaction to technocratic and donor-driven evaluation models. It values processes as much as product, as Dmitro actually mentioned, and it views evaluation as learning, empowerment, and accountability exercise. Of course, it's quite a broad concept, and this is where nuances matter. So in my evaluation, I find specifically relevant 2 approaches, which is practical participatory evaluation, which is based on the belief that the inclusion of stakeholders in the evaluation process will help us improve evaluation utilization and improve decision making. It is focused, it is instrumental, it's solution oriented. This is how we work with project teams, national stakeholders, bringing to light different perspective on the demining prioritization, pace of demining efforts, technical, administrative, other aspects of the process. This is working approach especially relevant for the demining pillar of humanitarian mine action. Another really relevant approach would be collaborative evaluation, which goes deeper on relation building. Many theorists, when I was actually writing this presentation, getting ready for this conference, I found that many theorists see this term as interchangeable with participatory evaluation. But I think that this emphasis on relationship building adds a distinction to it. This is where evaluation turns into witnessing. In my case, it was especially relevant for evaluating mine risk education efforts. So, and this is the question that Olga actually raised at the beginning. Why participation is important in humanitarian mine action evaluation? During this evaluation, we track square meters released, hazards removed, beneficiaries reached, but participatory evaluation adds texture to this. The time parents reclaim because of safe routes to school is open, because some networks emerge, because maybe people receive some psychological breathing space which was not there before, and they get it after days and days of this hypervigilance, of being excessively alert and overstressed. And this is not just a zone, that's part of why and how clearance actually unlocks recovery for beneficiaries and for us all. Humanitarian demining projects face a dual imperative. It's mitigating immediate risks posed by unexploded ordnance and mines, and contributing to overall recovery and socioeconomic transformation of affected regions. Participatory evaluation offers my presentation disappeared. Or?
Yeah, we've lost your presentation, but we still have you. That is also good.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. I'll try to
just let me know if you need support. But...
reshare it. Sharing is not turned on for me. So that's problem. Olga, could you please share this presentation?
I will. Yes, continue just talking.
Yes, I'll continue. Okay. So participatory evaluation actually offers several distinct benefits in the context of humanitarian demining evaluation. First of all, it is iterative feedback and adaptive management. And this is a cyclical process of participatory evaluation that can support real-time adjustments in demining strategies, helping project managers respond to changing field conditions and unexpected challenges. And that actually, for me, echoes what Dmitry said in his presentation about doing evaluations really fast in these fragile and difficult environments.
I'm sorry, it's not your fault, it's not my fault. So somehow we were disabled by admin in terms of sharing presentations. So yeah, I will try to sort this out. It's probably too sensitive is the topic we are discussing, but yes, sorry, but please continue. I believe presentations will be available afterwards. I don't know, Alexandra, what happened, but yeah, I can't share and Luba can't share presentations. Please help us.
Neither I can share, so I don't know. We have to
ask. So we can.
Maybe I will contact admin to ask him.
You know, in Ukraine, we used to work in challenging circumstances. So Luba, just go on.
Yeah, we don't have power in our office at this time, so it's okay.
Now it's working. Sorry.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yes, we can. We can.
Good.
Just but I have to ask you to speed up a bit because of the technical issues. But we have still have limited time for the session. But yeah, please.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So okay. Another reason is balancing immediate and long-term outcomes. And through a participatory approach, demining evaluations can address both the safety concerns and long-term socioeconomic recovery. By including residents, local authorities, and operators in ranking priorities and testing assumptions, we can make trade-offs explicit and sequence activities so near-term safety gains unlock medium-term mobility, and livelihoods. And the result is an evaluation that doesn't just certify clear and it's done. It proves how today's risk reduction compounds into tomorrow's socioeconomic recovery, which is extremely important in Ukraine. Enhance local involvement, that's about engaging local communities in the evaluation process. And this is when we involve the community in, for instance, risk education evaluation. And people point out to the hazards they actually face and share near-miss stories, letting us see whether messages are landing and adopt content, timing, and channels to fit their daily life. And finally, promoting transparency and trust. And this is last but in no way least point. By including affected populations in the evaluation process, demining projects can build trust and enhance the legitimacy of the operation. This is especially important, for instance, for setting demining priorities or explaining why the demining process takes longer than the communities would like to. There are two challenges that are especially relevant for the evaluation, which I faced. The first one was obviously security risks, and that's field conditions in demining projects are, of course, hazardous, and ensuring safety on both evaluations and community participants requires special protocols and contingency planning, and it's quite a serious task. Another one which I never faced before was sustained engagement. Affected communities often experience evaluation fatigue because usually a lot of humanitarian activities are taking place in those communities, and there are many evaluations, a lot of research is taking place in those communities, and sometimes people are really tired of answering those questions. So in this case, building enduring relationships is critical. The lived realities of doing participatory evaluation is Ukraine. Well, that's really difficult because you have to do evaluations in places, in villages where you can't find a single intact house. So everything is ruined to a different stage, but no intact houses, and people still live there. So I start with trauma and ethics. When a simple question can trigger flashbacks, you just ask how your safe routine changed or something like that, and people think about the day before when they lost a neighbor because of shelling. So trauma-informed facilitation is not a buzzword. We have already discussed this need for psychologists during evaluation, but I think that evaluators should be psychologists themselves. The act of asking is itself an intervention, and trauma-informed facilitation becomes essential. Evaluators need to anticipate emotional triggers and use restorative interviewing techniques. Participation cannot be forced, of course. Evaluation becomes a process of collective narration that gives agency back to participants who have been silenced by shock. Normalization of crisis. Some responses show that people are getting used to living in this reality, and of course communities adapt because they must. Participatory interpretation session help us distinguish coping strategies from endorsement and keep our recommendations honest about residual risks. And in participatory terms, this signals a shift from acute crisis to some chronic adaptation. Evaluators must recognize when communities have redefined normality to cope. Without participatory dialogue, evaluators risk mistaking resilience for acceptance, and participatory approach allows communities to articulate whether with adoption they feel empowered or they feel numb. It's an important distinction in learning and for designing psychological and recovery support linked to mine action outcomes. Of course, trust and who carries the trust, and the presence of Ukrainian evaluators always helps a lot. I worked as part of international teams, but I think sometimes that my presence allowed to really create more trustful, more open relations, though people are already open to evaluators because of all support they feel. But still, Ukrainian evaluators have this shared emotional references, and that creates safety for open dialogue. It's okay. The next point is that ambivalence and gratitude. We see sometimes that not everyone is really satisfied with priorities, which what land is cleared first, and sometimes with the pace of demining. But everyone feels deep gratitude towards surplus, and participatory evaluation captures this complexity, this discontent and gratitude which exist. And standard metrics like hectares cleared or mines removed cannot reveal this emotional ambivalence or moral appreciation. And only participatory dialogue uncovers such dual narratives, showing that accountability in humanitarian demining must include relational dimensions such as trust, recognition, moral economy of risk, and gratitude. So, where this leaves us is that participatory evaluation frames how success in humanitarian demining is defined and by whom. In Ukraine, participatory evaluation builds on existing civic and evaluative culture. Ukraine offers an especially compelling environment for such work. We have local organization, we have civic initiatives, which already play significant roles in data collection, in needs assessment. Everyone who was involved in humanitarian evaluations know that, and of course in community outreach. Participatory evaluation builds upon these practices, formalizing them into structured, ethical, and learning-oriented processes. It offers a method to systematize reflection, elevate local voice, and strengthen mutual accountability between communities, implementers, and donors. So, participatory evaluation anchors evidence in human dignity and dialogue rather than compliance metrics. It treats people as partners and not just data points. Consent is a process. It's not a checkbox. And stories sit alongside numbers, and recommendations are negotiated openly, so they're usable, safe, and they're fair. It offers a pathway to ethical, localized, and human-centered reconstruction. Community-defined priorities steer clearance to places that unlock daily life first. Risk education evaluation then adapts messages to real behavior and near-miss patterns, keeping decisions grounded in context, strengthening accountability to affected people, and linking immediate safety gains to local and longer-term social and economic recovery. And as a bottom line, in mine action, participatory evaluation is not decorative. It's how we learn whether technical results translate into lived safety and use. The documented mine action and humanitarian cases show it is feasible under conflict constraints, improves credibility, and yields decisions people recognize as real. Thank you for your attention. I could speak a lot about this topic because it's somehow related.
Yes, thank you very much, Luba. I was personally very much impressed with your picture in helmet and armed vessels. So it's a very, very incredibly important and insightful presentation and really experience from the first hand. So thank you for sharing this with us. Dear participants, I'm really encourage you to post your questions in the chat. We have one more panelist, the last but not the least. And it's very interesting because these presentations that Mikhail will be doing like in a second, it reflects very good how situation in Ukraine looks like. So we are living under different strands, and like demining, all the humanitarian actions is again one strand, but from the other strand, we have all these EU accession processes, we have still development, and it's a really good combination. It's a challenging combination, but this is how our life looks like today. So I'm really happy to have on board Mikhail Sobol with us today, who will be talking about socioeconomic data for public policy and evaluation in Ukraine, because it's really important in terms of having a good path to EU to understand where we are and how we're moving to this accession. Michal is a chief expert in the Office for Polish-Ukrainian Development Cooperation that is under Ministry of Development Funds and Regional Policy. He carries out tasks related to supporting Polish-Ukrainian development cooperation in terms of implementation of Ukrainian facilities. So it's very important for us to be on track with this. In particular, Michal is responsible for the Chapter 22 regional policy and coordination of structural instruments. So it's really linked to what we are talking with you today. And without any further ado, Michal, I would like to give you the floor for your presentation. I will start sharing your slides if Luba stop to sharing her presentation.
Yeah, I will be really glad if you could display my presentation.
I will in a second.
Yeah, so yeah, that's true. So good afternoon, everyone. Dobroho dnia, kolechy. It's a real pleasure to join this panel today and share some reflection on the topic of the panel and how socioeconomic data can support public policy and the participatory evaluation as well, and ultimately the Ukrainians' European integration path. So I think, yeah, we can kick off my presentation and turn to the second slide.
Can you see the presentation?
I cannot.
No, just I'm on my way, really. Not really good with this. It should be there.
Many thanks. So yeah, when we speak about the the previous one. Yeah, exactly. So we need to place this notion into the broader European integration context. So the building statistical and research systems for policymaking is actually a very crucial part of the EU accession negotiation, specifically mentioned before. So the Chapter 22, namely the regional policy and coordination of structural instruments. And in this process, Ukraine is not starting from scratch. What we do see is that the country is rebuilding its institutions while already aligning with the European statistical and monitoring standards. And those, of course, used to design, implement, and evaluate, especially the regional policies, but not only. And as the Ministry of Development Funds and Regional Policy of Poland, we do support the Ukrainian government in this process through the cooperation agreement signed with the Ministry of Development, Ministry of Development of Communities and Territories of Ukraine. So the Ministry of the Vice Prime Minister Kuleba, and under this agreement, we share our own experience of building statistical and evaluation systems that once helped Poland to prepare for EU memberships. And we do advise as partners on how such reforms can be implemented most effectively. And that's why I told you to turn to this previous slide, because this photo that is here, it's a good example of that cooperation, that there is the cooperation in practice. And we are relatively frequent guests in Ukraine, proudly, and working together with our Ukrainian colleagues as we have first-hand view of the fascinating process of building stronger and, let's say, more capable public institutions and the standards. And this cooperation showed that integration is not only about the aligning legislation, it's also about the building institutions, trust, and shared evidence base for policy and development. So yeah, we can turn to the next slide, please. Yeah. So since 2022, this data ecosystem has been under severe stress, as you have mentioned in the previous slides. And yeah, of course, the full-scale invasion dramatically disrupted data flows so that local offices stopped reporting. Many statistical field surveys were suspended, and infrastructure damage made it difficult to collect and verify information. And most importantly, data transmission between the local and national level broke down. Statistical data that used to be collected by territorial bodies of the State Statistics Service are now aggregated only at the regional level, while policy and evaluation need much more granular data, let's say, at the level of, for example, communities, districts, and, right, for example, functional areas and so on. So as a result, we are facing significant gaps in socioeconomic measurement. Ukraine lacks regular and comparable indicators on demography, employment, infrastructure, and access to services, especially at the local level. So yeah, I think we can go to the next slide, which perfectly shows the results of the large survey conducted in 2024 among nearly 600 territorial communities. This research confirmed that around 47% of local governments say that they need additional data, and this level of dissatisfaction is highest among the urban communities. So that means that nearly half, they lack sufficient data to plan or monitor their development policies. And among urban communities, over 1/4 report being dissatisfied with the available data, which is almost twice the share observed in rural areas. So from the evaluation perspective, these disruptions mean interrupted data series and missing baselines, which make it difficult to assess progress, impact, or even to compare regional trends. So local development strategies or recovery plan or whatsoever are able to build only on incomplete or outdated evidence, which definitely weakens both the quality of analysis and the, let's say, credibility of public decisions. So yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah, a few words about the institutional context, which is also very crucial. So despite the challenges that I've just mentioned, Ukraine's statistical system has a really solid institutional foundation. And all official data are collected under the Plan of State Statistical Observation, known as the DSS abbreviation, which is an annual plan that defines which indicators are produced, how often, and at what territorial level. And this very structure ensures that the system remains coherent, which is very important, and even under these difficult conditions. So that's a very valuable point. And the territorial breakdowns follow the codifier of administrative territorial units, which were established in 2020 and updated 1 year ago, so not very far away from today. And it is aligned with the European NUTS classification, which is an important step toward compatibility with EU regional and especially cohesion policy monitoring, and very crucial requirement to receive EU funds. And currently around 2/3 of all statistical observations are available at the regional level, and about 20 at the district level, and only 10% at the level of communities. Maybe to show something more bright side, the good news is that in June 2025, the Ukrainian parliament adopted legislative amendments that restore business reporting and household service, which had been suspended during the martial law. And this reform allows even the full reactivation of official statistics, including the collection of socioeconomic data that are critical for evaluation and planning. And in short, Ukraine is rebuilding its data system, and Ukraine not do this from scratch, but from a structured and, let's say, more increasingly European aligned base, and that's very good and very valuable. So yeah, I think we can go further. So what are the implications for, let's say, the evaluation practice? These data disruptions have, of course, very concrete consequences. First, the time series have been interrupted, which makes it difficult to conduct factual or trend analysis, especially when measuring the impact of regional or recovery policies over time. Second, there are gaps in territorial consistency, and due to the fact that the boundaries of communities and districts have changed, and some local data are, let's say, missing altogether, which complicates any attempt to compare regions or measure convergence, which is very important for the European regional policy. Third, the evaluators now face limited access to disaggregated and comparable data. And many official indicators are available only at the regional level, while the meaningful policy evaluation, as you of course know, often requires microdata at the level of households or communities. And as a result, evaluation teams, evaluation units from the NGO sector or from government have to rely more heavily on administrative or open data sources, which can be very useful, however, also introduce measurement bias or raise questions about the data quality and the issue of representativeness. And all of this has led to the use of adaptive methods such as proxy indicators, triangulation, and microdata modeling, of course, to fill the evidence gaps. And to sum up, in other words, evaluation in Ukraine is becoming more creative, it's visible, and more data innovative. But of course, we do state that still operates under strong structural constraints. Okay, I think we can, yeah, many thanks. And after almost 4 years of disrupted data flows, Ukraine is now entering a phase of systematic rebuilding, not only restoring what was lost, but also modernizing how data are collected and used. The first step is the creation of municipal statistics systems and a dedicated law which will clearly define what data are collected at the community level, by whom, and for what purpose. And this legal framework will also establish common standards and responsibilities. And that's very crucial because it's something that didn't exist before the war. And the second step is integration, connecting administrative data, surveys, and registers to ensure coherence and avoid duplication. I think it's also about building one consistent information space that serves both national and local decision making. So that's very valuable. Third, there is the restoration of regular data flows, especially for household and business reporting, which were reactivated by the 2025 legislative amendment, so that those that I have mentioned before. And a fourth direction is digitalization. So we're introducing modern data collection and modeling tools that can help fill information gaps more quickly and, let's say, more efficiently. And finally, all of this depends on capacity building. So training and monitoring local analysis and statistical officers, and of course with a strong support from partners such as the UN, World Bank, EU4Stat, or simply EU member states. Yeah, I think you can go to the next slide. Yeah, and one of the most forward-looking initiatives that are now underway in Ukraine is the alignment with the Unified Geographic Information System. And this task is operated by our partners, so the Ministry of Development of Communities and Territories, and it will become a crucial platform for processing and visualizing regional data. And the system will make it possible to integrate different sources from official statistics and administrative registers to open data and even the satellite imagery. And it will be all gathered within the single digital environment. So very modern approach. And for policymakers and evaluators, this means that data will no longer be just spreadsheets, but rather interactive and spatially structured information. It will also allow local and regional authorities to model development scenarios, monitor infrastructure, and, for example, assess the effectiveness of investments in real time. And an important element of this reform is also transparency, which is very crucial for a civil organization, NGOs, social partners, and so on, and for researchers from academia. because most of the data in the system will be publicly available, what will give citizens access to the same information used by decision makers. And yeah, that's very, very crucial. I think we can go to the slide with conclusions. So to conclude, let me highlight where things are heading now and how we as some member states of the EU and EU institutions as well can contribute to this development. So first, Ukraine is working on the introduction of systematic data collection at the community level, including a clear legal framework and training for local staff. In my humble view, this is a crucial step to ensure that local evidence supports national and regional policymaking. Secondly, the government is implementing the GIS, so the Unified Geographic Information System for monitoring and evaluation. So as I said before, a tool that will make the data collection, analysis and visualization faster, more transparent and directly linked to policy management. And from these developments, a few key messages emerge. First, the war has undoubtedly disrupted the data systems, but it also accelerated modernization, and it's clearly visible. It pushed Ukraine to rebuild using digital and European standards. Second, reliable local data are now recognized as the foundation of evidence-based evaluation. And finally, alignment with EU standards brings not only technical benefits, but also greater transparency and trust in public policy. So as for how we can support this process as member states and EU partners, I see some main avenues. First, the two main avenues. First, continuing peer learning and twinning projects, providing practical training and mentoring for Ukrainian institutions and for Ukrainian civil servants. What we conduct as Poland, and namely Ministry of Development Funds and Regional Policy under umbrella of Polish aid program. Second, piloting EU-style monitoring and evaluation frameworks in selected policy areas, for example, Interreg, that we do share with Ukraine as Poland, so that Ukraine systems evolve in parallel with those used inside the EU. So to finally sum up, the path forward is not just about rebuilding data. It's, in my view, about building common European evidence base that literally underpins our shared vision of recovery, accountability, and last but not least, development. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mikhail. It was really music to my ears because I used to hear everyone is complaining about Ukrainian statistic, and that was a rare case that someone just really gave a compliment to our statistic, and I'm really happy about this. Thank you very much for all panelists.